NATO leaders pledged their continuing support for Ukraine and commitment to their alliance as they wrapped up 75th anniversary summit in Washington, D.C. Now, the allies decided to further strengthen deterrence and defense, bolster long-term support to Ukraine and deepen global partnerships.
At this summit, we are turning a corner and putting in place the foundations for Ukraine to prevail. Allies have agreed to launch NATO security assistance and training for Ukraine, with a command in Germany, logistic hubs in the eastern part of the alliance, and around 700 personnel. NATO will coordinate the training of Ukrainian forces at facilities in allied countries, plan and coordinate the provision of donations, manage the transfer and repair of equipment, and provide support to the long-term development of Ukraine's forces.
The United States and its allies have used this week's summit to try to project unity in the face of what they see as a rising threat to Europe from Russia and China. However, NATO member Hungary said that it does not want NATO to become an anti-China bloc. Furthermore, Hungary's foreign minister said that Ukraine's admission to the military alliance will weaken unity in the group. This after Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán irked other NATO members with surprise visits to Kiev, Moscow and Beijing in the past 2 weeks on a self-styled peace mission. His talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin angered some EU leaders as the bloc is seeking to avoid high-level contacts with Moscow over its war in Ukraine. And on the other hand, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said that any possibility of a direct confrontation between Russia and NATO was worrying. This comes after Chancellor Olaf Scholz hailed a decision by the United States to station long-range missiles in Germany as a step to increase deterrence against Russia.
I will add another aspect which is important for me. The United States decided to deploy deep precision strike capabilities in Germany, which I think is a very good decision, and it fits into all the decisions we already took. I mentioned, for instance, in the Munich Security Conference that we need something like deep precision strike, looking at all the increase of weapons that were installed by Russia in Europe.
Kremlin reacted to the United States' plan to station long-range missiles in Germany, saying that it will lead to Cold War-style confrontation between Russia and the West. Reactions also came in from China after NATO's declaration included sharp words about China, calling it a decisive enabler of Russia's war in Ukraine. China's foreign ministry said the declaration was based and sowing discord. Nonetheless, Ukraine has been the primary focus for NATO, with Biden pledging to Zelensky, and I quote here, "We will stay with you, period." Zelensky said Ukraine is very close to achieving its goal of NATO membership, while NATO members issued a declaration pledging to support Ukraine's irreversible path to NATO membership.
We, of course, if we want to win, if we want to prevail, if we want to save our country and to defend it, we need to lift all the limitations. I spoke about it with partners, with UK leader, with United States President, with Secretary, all of them. And I will rise up this topic with very concrete facts.
Ukraine urged NATO to lift restrictions on use of long-range weapons against targets in Russia, saying that it would be a game-changer in its war with Moscow. Meanwhile, the United States announced a new security package for Ukraine worth $225 million, which includes a Patriot missile battery, additional ammunition for high-mobility artillery, rocket systems and missiles, among other items. For more on this, our correspondent Susan Tehrani sent us this report with the latest from New York. Listen to this.
NATO's summit in Washington aimed to showcase unity and commitment to Ukraine. But is it all a facade? Despite a public support for a negotiated peace deal, NATO as a military alliance rejects that concept, and critics say that it's pursuing a failed war strategy. Now, there is no doubt that NATO has relevance, but the bloc is divided. With Finland and Sweden joining the alliance, members are at odds over support for Ukraine. The U.S., on the one hand, has pledged continued military aid, but others fear escalation. Ukraine seeks expedited membership to NATO, facing opposition from Germany as well as the United States. A new U.S. aid package was announced, but no consensus exists on NATO's role in supporting Ukraine. So was this summit another photo op, or did substance prevail over symbolism? Perhaps the answer to that question depends on who you ask. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.